Hi everyone, I'm going to be really honest with you. I feel awful and I look awful, so apologies. I was meant to be with AFTV today. Something's been going around. A lot of my family have been ill. I was ill, so I didn't make it in. I watched the game from home under a blanket, and the performance didn't do a lot to lift my energy up. I'll be really honest, but it's a win. It's a win. It's a much needed 3 points. I don't think anyone could deny that Arsenal deserve to win. I think we just expect to do a lot better for a team that have lost 5 in their last 6 or something, needed promoted side, and then we just didn't really look particularly cohesive. But it's 3 points. I mean, there are things about the performance I liked, mainly from, an individual player perspective. And we'll go through it. I mean, let's start with the starting 11 because, I took a chance putting a video out yesterday. I say took a chance. I mean, we saw Arteta adopt a tactic against Palace. I didn't know whether it was a bit of a one-off like last season, the whole kind of diamond 3-4-3, or whether it was something a little bit more long-term. Now, we don't really have the answer after just the second game. We definitely know this is more in Arteta's mind. It's quite literally the reason we got the goal. Kai Havertz was floating in that 10 space. And just a reminder, if you didn't catch the video, but I would go watch it because it actually still holds a lot of weight for this game too. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, your 3, Erdegaard, Rice and Luis Skelly, your 3 in front of that, with Havertz in behind Jesus, and then you've got the floating wingers. What you do get sometimes Erdegaard moving forward a little bit more and Timber stepping into midfield, but that's sort of roughly the shape. The point is that Havertz isn't hugging the touchline on the left or dropping into the left 8 space. He's very much behind Jesus. It's quite an interesting role for him because it's like all his best work is done off the ball. I mean, on the ball, some nice touches and, knocks the ball about and, keeps things moving. Thought towards the end, some decent hold-up play. But a lot of his good work is off the ball, is tracking back to win back possession. Clever yellow card, I will say that was a pretty clever one, to be fair. But then obviously getting the goal, being on the end of things. So he sort of plays in this one role where most of his work is going to be praised for everything he does off the ball. Maybe it isn't a bad thing because, what's that stat? 98% of a footballer's match is spent off the ball. I mean, I might be wrong. But what was interesting about it, and I sort of hypothesised this in the video I did, was that if this was going to be the way forward, with the amount of territory and space we conceded to Palace in the game, there's 2 things. A, was Partey going to be the starting 6? By the way, I predicted that we wouldn't go for this system. For everything I said, and for my analysis on it, I actually didn't think this was going to be the system Arteta deployed. But he did go for it. And my theory was that if you're going to use this system, Rice or Partey play it. You can't really have both. Against Forest, we had to do some serious manoeuvring of the players on and off the ball just to make it work this time last season. No, sorry, in the opening game of last season. Whereas having Luis Skelly tucking in and Havertz moving more into the strikers line makes a little bit more sense. So that was the system, very interesting. I'm going to be referring to my notes as I do this, got them here on a laptop. A few more things to talk about. We may as well talk about the goal, as we mentioned Martinelli there. I thought, Trossard did brilliantly on that goal. I thought he quietly had a really good game, Leandro Trossard. If you're not blessed with blistering pace, I don't expect you to beat your fullback 3, 4, 5, 6 times a game, like a Bukayo Saka is capable of. I expect you to look after possession really well, and if you get the beating of them, do it. And a few times he did that. He almost played a brilliant pass into Jesus with the offside goal. If Jesus times his run, maybe it's one of those where he probably has to be offside to get to it. But Trossard did some nice things. He certainly looked like our most creative player on the day. And I thought he did really, really well to beat his man and whipping a lovely ball to Kai Havertz, who actually showed a lot of composure on the finish. And that was 1-0. Trossard, his work rate was terrific. And this is someone we've criticised, saying, look, he has his best impact when he comes on for 30 minutes. I thought that was a really good full 90 from him, and well done to him. On the other side, Martinelli, I could see a lot of people maybe being really disappointed with Martinelli's performance. I thought he was good. I don't think we should underestimate how much he helps win back possession when we've just lost it in the final third and the middle third. And he creates transition moments, and he gets us then running at a team who are a little bit dismantled in their shape. And look, we're not very good at punishing teams when they do that. We're not a Liverpool or a Newcastle in that way. But Martinelli certainly gives that kind of element. Basically, it would surprise me if a Liverpool ever came in for a Martinelli. I mean, I'm deadly serious. I feel like in a slightly more chaotic, frantic style of football, I think he'd look really, really good. Everything's a bit more controlled for him. So when he's getting the ball out wide, it's a touch, faces man, and he's got a lot of work to do to beat the fullback. And that's not really that easy for anyone, really. I mean, even some of the best dribblers in the world, especially when you're on your stronger foot, so your right foot are playing on the right. I mean, that's why football's moved so much towards playing on the opposite side now. But he did dig out some good crosses, and the work rate was phenomenal. I thought the way he ended the match, and the maturity he showed with his decision-making, carrying the ball, winning fouls, I thought was really good. So well done to Martinelli. That's the wingers. We may as well, talked about the goal. And basically, it should have been 2-0 before a sub's made from Gabriel at the back post. Nods it wide of the post. I mean, what a delivery from Declan Rice, who we mentioned starting the six. I thought he had a really good game. I actually thought the sub to bring him off was a really strange one. When I saw Partey was coming on, I thought he'd move him right back and Timber left back. We moved him into the six. I mean, I even would have taken Odegaard off and just still kept, Rice on that pitch next to Partey. I don't think bringing Partey on's the wrong decision. But to bring off Rice, I thought was a really strange one because he was sweeping up so well. And, we could talk about tiredness, right? Partey obviously coming on fresh legs is going to be fresh than Declan Rice, who's played 85 minutes or whatever. But Declan Rice has a rhythm, momentum for the game. So that was a strange sub. Actually, a few times it looked like it got a bit frantic there. But to be fair, all hands on deck, everyone dug in and managed to get the win over the line. And this is the thing about the result. We didn't play great today. We were far from it. I'll give our performance a 4 out of 4, 5 out of 10. I mean, it was kind of fine at best. But defensively, we did everything we had to do. I think when we're talking about Arsenal, it's so easy to look at the attacking football, the lack of chance creation, and talk about that side of the game. But, going into a performance, you're taking the team's performance, taking the individual's performance. You're talking about off the ball, the work rate, the pressing shape, the 4-4-2 out of possession. You're talking about how good we were in possession. You're talking about game management. You're talking about chance creation. You're talking about goals. You're talking about so many things. And chance creation goals was low. But pretty much everything else about Arsenal's performance was fine. In fact, probably very good. It's probably the reason why chance creation wasn't so much a problem in this game. And why, even though, the last few minutes are always going to feel a bit frantic, I didn't really worry till the 92nd minute because Arsenal were pretty in control of proceedings. So, ultimately, deserved winners, but far from spectacular. But let's try building it, because we were spectacular in our finishing against Palace. We weren't in this game. So, is this more of what we're really like, or is this a bad day, or just a not great day? I don't know. Obviously, I hope it's just not a great day for Arsenal. But we picked up the 3 points anyway. So, hey-ho. We've had days where we've not looked great and not found the way to win. So, I suppose in this sense, you give the players credit for picking up the 3 points, keeping it moving what is a busy schedule, which is only going to get busier in January. A couple more things I want to mention. I mentioned Trossard's performance. I mentioned I'd take Odegaard off. I didn't think Odegaard had a great game at all. What he did do was he was getting the ball a lot more in areas where he could drive at Ipswich. And it was actually good to see him running at them. There was a moment in the first half where I thought, and I know Arsenal don't like the player, but remember Samir Nasri was so good. He wasn't blessed with great pace or incredible skill, but he had good skill and a good drive. Actually, had very good skill, Nasri. But, he'd run at players and he'd run into spaces and work a shot. Odegaard in the first half, I thought, missed an opportunity to really punish Ipswich. In the second half, did a bit more of that, which was good to see. But I didn't think he was great on the night. Marino came on and certainly did some good stuff. That ball he whipped to the back post to Trossard could easily and should easily have ended up as the second goal for Kai Havertz. And when you look at that and the Gabriel chance, I mean, you've got to say we deserved, Declan Rice with the brilliant volley, which was kind of blocked well. I mean, we were worthy of the win, just nothing spectacular. But I thought Marino did well. Interesting that Hutchinson got booed. He was booed throughout the match. And Phillips and Delap were looking to scrap with Lewis Skelly at any given moment. But the way Lewis Skelly handled everything today, I mean, he was magnificent. There's no wonder he finished the 90 because he played so well, and then he wins the foul at the end. You're thinking, just clear it. But he wins the foul, he puts his body in front, bam, he's taken down. And referee's always going to give those. I mean, it is a foul, but they're just always going to give it anyway. So, utterly superb there by Lewis Skelly. Final thing I want to mention, complete tangent, so I'll mention it really quickly. But I don't want the PGMOL and their kind of poor standard refereeing to kind of go under the radar. Even though it's not been as much of a talking point, certainly for Arsenal recently. I do have to say, you look at the foul on Leif Davis when Martinelli's basically been put through, I think, by David Raya, I think it was. Martinelli stood his ground really well. Leif Davis goes down like a sack of bricks and he blows for the foul. I think Gabriel should have had a penalty. It's a pull on the shirt. I mean, so what? It's off the ball. And look, I think there are a few soft ones that went against Ipswich too, like Erdegaard. I think he made a real meal of one of his. There was another moment, I think. But you think Leif Davis was booked, that for something I think was a bit harsh, but maybe I need to watch that back. But I thought that the refereeing was it was fine, just not great. But the reason I really mention it is not because, look, they're going to get the odd thing wrong in our game. I don't think they got anything major wrong. And it wouldn't be worth talking about if it weren't for the fact that I saw João Pedro swing an elbow, like a proper swing of the elbow at a Brentford player, and VAR decided not to get involved. So they've set a precedent for, well, the day they didn't send off Bruno Guimaraes for his elbow on Jorginho, they set a precedent. So at least they're consistent, the idiots. But they basically said, yeah, no, you can swing, you can kick out, you can do whatever. You know, as long as you don't actually catch them, it's fine. Which I think is a very dangerous precedent to set. And the PGMOL and VAR need to keep being talked about when they don't give really obvious red cards like that. I just wanted to mention that at the end of this video. But I'll leave it there. That's my match report, everyone. Back to bed for me, under a blanket. And yeah, look, Arsenal win 2024 with a win. But let's hope we start, you know, it's Brighton and Brentford away our next two games. That's not easy at all. But let's hope we can that's 2 wins in a row. Let's make it 3. Let's make it 4. Liverpool is sensational, but let's just see what we can do. Anyway, catch you all in a bit. Let me know your man of the match in the comments below. See you soon.